Welcome back, folks. This is Steve here, and I am going to play around with memory optimization on the Compact Presario CDS 524. We've been playing with this machine for a little while now, exploring all of the different things that are in it, and I wanted to try and take a look at Microsoft's MemMaker product and see how well it worked at finding conventional memory that can be regained back to my use. In a previous video, there'll be a link up above, and there is a playlist link down below for all of the videos in this series. But in a previous video, we did some really basic memory optimization. All I did was say, load these things high and hope for the best. Can MemMaker do it any better? Stick around and we'll find out. All right, let's take a look at Microsoft MemMaker. Your computer has a certain amount of conventional memory. There's this 640K barrier that older DOS-based PCs have, and programs would load in what's called conventional memory. And with DOS, I want to say it started in DOS 5, maybe? Maybe it started in DOS 6. You could do memory optimization by loading device drivers into high memory to free up conventional memory. A lot of your older DOS games needed conventional memory in order to run properly. They didn't have extended memory support or expanded memory support, and breaking that 640K barrier came about in a couple of different ways with a couple of different types of extra memory. So you've got XMS, which is extended memory. That was the last one to come. Before that, you had expanded memory, which Lotus, Intel, and Microsoft got together as a group and created this thing that would allow you to run memory in blocks that you could swap in and swap out. So you could have quite a lot. I want to say it was 32 meg was the maximum. 32 meg of expanded memory, and it would fit in like 1K blocks or 1 meg blocks or something along those lines. And it would just swap in and swap out, and the expanded memory driver would take care of moving the data around so that it worked for you. And then there's conventional memory, and then because there's a spot between 640K and 1024K that is above the 640K but below the 1024K. I mean, it's math. It's just a thing. That was called upper memory area or upper memory blocks or high memory, and memory drivers had a way of utilizing that and creating that. That was where your video RAM was supposed to go. Any special ROMs for option cards were supposed to go. Things along those lines. But you don't fill the entire space, so there's free RAM available in that area, but you got to find it, you got to play with it, you got to massage it. This was my basic attempt at cleaning up in a video a while back. I will link that up above, and it's part of this playlist that you're watching right now, so it'll be the next video that pops up if you're in the playlist. We got 632,752 bytes of free conventional memory. You can see what's loaded in low memory. MS-DOS, HiMem, EMM386, Command-Com is loaded in the low memory area, and then in the upper memory area is the Compact Configuration Manager, which manages the plug-and-play device drivers and settings and IRQs and ports and all that other kind of stuff. The compact CD-ROM driver, the mouse driver, the After Dark screensaver for DOS, Microsoft CD-ROM extensions for DOS to be able to operate with CD-ROM drives, and the Smart Drive Disk Cache. And the Smart Drive Disk Cache is currently set at 30K, which is pretty small, but all of that's loaded in upper memory. That is our starting lineup. Let's see if MemMaker can do any better. We're going to run MemMaker. MemMaker optimizes your system's memory by moving memory resident programs around, so it's going to try and figure out the best order to put those in, the best way to start them up, and where it can pigeonhole them in different versions of different areas in upper memory to get you the most free conventional memory. And we want to see if MemMaker can outsmart me, and I wasn't really even trying. And you know what? Before we do that, let's take a look at the... I didn't make any changes. Yeah, exit and undo changes. All right, fine. Let's take a look at the existing config sys and autoexec bat files. All right, here's the existing config sys file. I'm loading HiMem, EMM386, Configuration Manager, CD-ROM driver, and the DOS shell. And I've got DOS specified to go into hi, UMB. So nothing fancy there. Let's look in autoexec bat. AutoExec bat loads the mouse driver, the screensaver, Microsoft CD-ROM extensions, and Smart Drive, and it tries to load all four of those into high memory area. So that's where we're starting. Go back into MemMaker. All right, so it's going to move stuff around. And what it's telling you in the second paragraph is that if you add another device driver, it will upset the configuration. It won't be optimized for memory usage. So run MemMaker again anytime you add or remove any type of device driver or terminate and stay resident program or things along those lines. And then it tells you how to use the program. And then I have the choice of continuing or exiting. I'm going to continue. Do I want Express or custom? So let's do Express would just be completely automatic. Custom would give me more control. Let's do Express and see what Express does for us. Do I use expanded memory? If you are not sure, answer no. If you later discover, run MemMaker and answer yes again. Yeah, so this is the thing. Like, it's very hard from a software perspective using commercial off-the-shelf software to do any damage to your machine. So feel free to explore and play around, and the worst thing that can happen is you have to reboot. So no, I don't use any programs that use expanded memory. And it was checking for Windows. There is Windows on this machine, and then it's going to do its first restart. It's done all of one type of configuration, and it's already determined the optimal settings. All right. While your computer is restarting, watch your screen carefully. Note any unusual messages or problems, like the previous owner did not do. And a lot of times you don't have to know what the messages are, you just have to know that something changed is really the important part, and then start going down that rabbit hole as to what changed. Because if you didn't make the change, then something did, and you need to figure it out. Does your system appear to be working properly? Yes. In the very little bit of exercise I've had the ability to do with the system, yeah, it seems to be working great. No changes. All right, before MemMaker, after MemMaker, 632.928, 632.928. So nothing has changed. And we'll press enter to keep their changes. Yep, nothing's changed. Yeah, and so it did move the stuff around. Don't like that. But other than moving the stuff around inside of the file, it did split out DOS equals high and DOS equals UMB onto two different lines, but it didn't make any difference because DOS didn't get loaded high. And then it did put in its extra memory configuration type stuff there. And then the same thing here. It didn't move anything around here. All right, so nothing changed. Let's make it a little more difficult and see what happens. I'm going to remove all the load high stuff and reboot. What is load high /s? Shrinks a UMB to its minimum size while the program is loaded. /s is normally only used by MemMaker. All right, so before the reboot, yeah, DOS is not loaded in upper memory at all. And 632.752, so there was no change there. Let's reboot with no memory management at all and see how bad this thing is. All right, so Smart Drive has loaded itself into upper memory. That was very nice of it. Everything else is loaded into lower memory, and we have 570,000 even. It's always scary when things land on an even number or an even multiple of 2. Because it's like, something's got to be weird about that. Anyway, so there we are, 570,000 bytes. And let's see if that's enough to run Windows. All right, Windows loaded fine. And we'll just breeze right through all of this. Continue. Express. No EMS. Restarting. Does it appear to be working properly? Sure. All right, same results. I wouldn't expect it to be much different. Let's do something a little differently this time, and let's see if we can get under the hood and see what MemMaker's doing. So what I'm going to do is reset the config files, and apparently it's going to continue to put those things not where I want them. I know, I'll be smarter than MemMaker. There, now the device drivers are all where I want them to be. Alright, so I've cleaned out all of MemMaker's mess from AutoExecBat and configsys. At this point, we're all pretty familiar with how that looks. Let's run MemMaker again. I'd like to continue, and this time I'm going to do the custom setup and see what that looks like. I don't use EMS. Specify which drivers to include. All of them. Scan the upper memory area aggressively. Yes. Optimize upper memory for use with Windows. Yes. Use monochrome region. Yes. Keep EMM386 exclusions and exclusions. No. Move extended BIOS data area from conventional. Yes. And then let's accept those changes. So this is a little bit of advanced. Found a copy of Windows in that folder. That's fine. And it's going to restart. And what I'm going to do when it restarts, it's going to say starting MS-DOS across the screen. I'm going to press a key on the keyboard to bypass all of the configuration files. All right, so you press F5 to bypass the config files when you see the starting MS-DOS line across the screen, and then it very nicely tells you that it's bypassing all of them. And then when you press F5, it makes that @ symbol on the screen for some reason. At any rate, let's take a look and see what configsys looks like while we're in the middle of a MemMaker run. /DOS /check state, and that's going to verify that it actually did boot up. SR1 1083 high mem, no EMS high scan, include the monochrome region. Yep. $DOS sizer /1083/8. Let's see if we can figure out what those are. And then DOS high DOS UMB. Okay, so let's see what sizer is. Microsoft Sizer 1.0. Sizer is used by MemMaker during memory optimization process and is not intended to be started from the command prompt. Okay. And it's running Sizer again. 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so it's checking the order of the programs that it's running. And then the /1083 is just a random session number for MemMaker to know which calculation that it's running through to figure it out. So sometimes you can load a program like the After Dark screensaver for DOS. It will take up a huge chunk of memory when it starts, and then it'll shrink down a little bit afterwards. And if you let it start up and take up that huge chunk of memory to initialize, and then loaded the next program after it, there would be that gap in memory between After Dark and the program after it. So that's what the Sizer's checking for, and that's what the order of operations is all about. So sometimes there's a program that does that. You just put it all the way at the end. And that was some advanced stuff that we would do if we were really trying to eke out the last little bit of memory. So now I want to reboot under normal conditions. Pretty confident it got it right on the first go round. Yep, it seems to be working properly. 632, 928. Let's look at it the way that we're used to seeing it. MS-DOS, HighMem, EMM386, and CommandCom are all loaded low. Config Manager, CD-ROM driver, mouse, screensaver, CD-ROM extension, smart driver, all loaded high, 632, 752. So I'm still not seeing any changes, even though we did some extra memory scanning. Let's do configsys and see if EMM386. Yeah, okay. No EMS, high scan, include, and then when you're in Windows, also include, and then also include. Yep. Okay. So MemMaker did the thing. This machine doesn't have a terribly difficult configuration to work with. A lot of times you would have like networking drivers or extra device card drivers or Sound Blaster drivers or something like that that you would need to fool around with all over the place to make sure there's enough free memory. I also used QEM, Quarter Deck Expanded Memory Manager, QEM, Expanded Memory Manager, yeah, 2 M's. QEM 386, and Quarter Deck was the same company that made DeskView, so those two went hand in hand, and Quarter Deck had kind of a similar thing to what MemMaker did. MemMaker came out after Quarter Deck Expanded Memory Manager came out, and that was what I was talking about in a previous video about how Microsoft would find a tool and then absorb it into DOS, and then people would complain that they got put out of business because Microsoft absorbed the tools into DOS. A couple of videos that pop up over here on this side that YouTube thinks that you would like to watch, and I think you'd like to watch them too. This is a new channel, so I'd like it if you subscribed and rang the bell because I've got a couple of more videos coming out. Thanks for being awesome. We'll see you in the next one.